Yo, Happy New Year to you, man. Congratulate. You've made it to another year. Okay. It's 2024 now, man. But let's not start 2024 how we started 23, how we started 22, 20, and so on and so forth. Okay. Let's start this year off the right way. First off, you're doing a good job of listening to this podcast. So congratulations on that. Thank you. I appreciate you. But you have goals and you have dreams, right? So let's make sure that we can actually get these things done this year. So I brought in a homie. I brought Ashley back. And together we're going to help break down how you can get these goals, get these plans, and actually make sure that these things happen this year. Okay. A lot of good game in this one. We really give you practical gems and practical steps on how to get from idea to execution to where this thing is done now. All right. So stay all the way tuned. Tune all the way in. Don't lose distraction, don't lose focus. Tune all the way in exactly to the end point to make sure you get this game. All right. Appreciate you for tuning in. Enjoy it. Yo, welcome into the BeBall Jones podcast. The goal of this podcast in my business is to bridge the gap, to fuel hoop dreams, and to impactful realities on the court and beyond. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoy it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode, and I have the one. You might be the only. Like, have you? You might be the only one. Are you sure if you're the only one?
I actually am not the only one.
Word.
Just don't ever Google your name. So there is someone who is still alive by my name, but there is also like some traumatic murder situation with someone else by my name. So don't ever Google yourself.
I've Googled like B-Ball Jones. That's like for business purposes and stuff.
Right.
Um, it's either me or like some baseball stuff comes up, or like Adam Jones. I don't know why Adam Jones comes up, but
That's random.
exactly.
Is his
So
name really Adam?
I got to do better with my search engine optimization skills because obviously I'm not the thing that comes up, so I got to do better with that. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about today. Um, how you doing? Everything good?
Yeah, I'm good. Things are going really well. It's excited for the new year.
Yeah, it's a brand new year. We're here starting out 2024. I think this is the best way to start the year off listening to this podcast. I think that's like you do your little drinks and everything. All right, that's cool. Once you get that boring stuff over with, you come on, hop on the B-Ball Jones podcast. You listen to us, chop it up. Um, but the biggest thing around this year is everybody has New Year's resolutions and new goals and a new attitude and just everything's new. New year, new me. You feel me? All this little stuff going on.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
While I'm all for setting goals and intentions for the year, I'm actually really not a big fan of New Year's resolutions as we look at them, right?
Mm.
So often people set it as like, hey, I'm gonna lose 15 pounds, or I'm gonna increase my like free throw shooting percentage. And then they do nothing to actually make effort towards it. They're just like, I spoke about it, so it's gonna happen.
Mm.
And so I sit every year, and I'm really big on goal setting with all of my clients, with all of the pilots I work with all the athletes I work with. We set goals all the time, review goals all the time. And it's just something about the way most people set resolutions for the year that they're missing all the key pieces of setting a goal. And that's why I think a lot of people fail often and fail hard. There's a reason why the gym is packed the first week of January and empty by February 1st.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm not gonna say I'm not surprised, but we actually agree on that. Um, I think first off, because I'm used to people not agreeing with stuff that I think, so it's kind of like, all right, cool. Then I talk them out. I'm like, bro, this is why I'm right, and like, oh, you all right? I know that. You just had to go through this whole middle part to figure out that I was right. But but it's just really because why wait until January 1st? That's one big reason. Like you've had a whole gap between October, whenever you had the first initiation of like, man, I need to start losing weight. Why not start that moment or start that week or whatever? Like, but I get it because you need like a foundation point. You need a new beginning. So I get it to an extent. I get it if you were like a week or two ago, let me start fresh, whatever. All right, cool. I'm not going to be picky about you needing like a new thing. I understand. But some people are like, it's July. I just wait
I
until
don't
next
want
year.
New Year's first.
That's when I'm like, all right, what are you doing with your life? Because do you really want this or not? Because if you gotta wait a whole 5-6 months, do you really want this thing, or are you just using it as an excuse to procrastinate? So I don't
I
know.
think both of those things, right? People are using it as an excuse because they think that's what goal they should have.
Hmm.
Some of it is like fear. Like, I don't think I can achieve it, so I'm going to keep pushing it off until I can't push it off anymore. Like, if I don't say this is my goal, no one can hold me accountable for it.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think with the procrastination piece, yeah, they say by the end of the year, but it's not really giving yourself like a deadline or a suspense to achieve it. It's just like, eventually I'll do this. And so I
Yeah.
always tell people, like, no, like, what's something you can do right now that's getting you closer to your goal? And they
Hmm.
like look at me like I'm like losing it. And I go, well, think about it. We keep saying like someday, someday, someday. If you start today, today becomes day one of someday. So, like,
Hmm.
why not
Yeah.
get the ball rolling, especially if you know what you need to do?
That's the thing. Like when I was a kid, I used to be like, this is like the most popular thing. I'm gonna lose weight. So when I was a kid, I was like, what it must be a lot of work to lose. I was always a skinny kid, so it's like
It's gonna
take
be a
this with a
lot of
grain of
work.
salt. So I was like, it must be really hard to like lose weight since nobody's doing it. It's like every year you have this new goal. I'm just like, man, it's crazy to lose weight. I'm like, people just have to like do a little research and understand, being a naive kid. But then the older I got, I was like, oh, you do know what to do. Oh, you know what to do too. So I'm like, why are we having such a weight issue in America? Think about it more. Oh, you just don't want to. Oh, it's not an information issue. It's just like a actually turn the key. Like you have the key in your hand. You know how to do it. You know how to drive. Just don't want
Right.
to put the key in, turn it, and like actually drive now.
And maybe they're like motivated at first, but I think people, I mean, we forget how hard like achieving most goals are. Like, if it's
Hmm.
something that's going to challenge us, that's a good goal. If it's not going to challenge us and we can just do it off a whim, it's probably not a hard enough goal. It's like a to do, right? And
Yeah.
there's actually a lot of research that says like the number one reason people tend to fail goal achievement is they don't account for like things not going perfectly.
Hmm.
Like, the amount of times I ask my athletes, like, okay, your goal is to go undefeated this season. So what happens when you lose? You just throw the whole season away? And they look at me and they're like, but I don't want to do that. And how likely is that going to happen? So have a
Hmm.
plan so you're not just like, oh, I can't win the championship now. No, you can bounce back from one loss. That's easy
Yeah.
if you have a plan for it. Same with like weight loss. Like, well, I don't want to do it because of the holidays, or you can just have a plan going into the holidays.
Hmm.
Like, I'm only going to eat one slice of pie a day, right? Like, that's better than, oh, I have to wait because I want to eat 3 slices of pie a day and a cookie and a cupcake.
Hmm. That's funny. But I
It's true.
think how do you balance the negative aspect of the goal or the plan? So yes, you have the plan to go undefeated, but how do you weigh in the what ifs without getting too down about that?
You just come up with a contingency plan. So I think of them as like basic if when statements. If this happens, then I'll do this.
Hmm.
Um, there's actually in the same research that talks about being able to identify those bad things, they actually say when you're thinking about a goal, kind of bounce back and forth between opportunities and then the things that will, how you can get in your own way of that goal. And the reason that works essentially is that when we only look at the positives from a goal, like all the things we can get from it, right? We get super hyped up.
Hmm.
And then when our reality doesn't meet our expectations, we're likely to quit because it
Yeah.
wasn't what I dreamed for it to be. If we only look at the negative, then we're going to be super bummed, like, man, this is going to be really hard. I maybe can't do this. So you
Hmm.
want to be able to bounce back of like, man, I'm going to get this opportunity and I need to make sure I'm staying on my diet, like my nutrition. And I'm going to get the trophy and everybody's going to be really proud of me. And I need to make sure I'm putting up shots in my free time, right? Like, we've got to be able to bounce back and forth. And so I tell people, once you've identified those things that could potentially get in your way, not things that we want to get in our way, but things that are likely, like if we're talking about diet, we know you're going to have some type of craving. Instead of ignoring that that's going to happen, if I have this craving, then this is what I'm going to do about it. So now when it comes up, you already have a plan. You don't have to work on the fly or pressure yourself or just be like, oh, wasn't perfect. All right, well, got to start back over at day one.
Yeah, I think planning is the biggest issue, honestly, because most people don't even set the plan up to get to the goal. It's like, I want to be a better shooter in 2024, so I'm gonna go out and shoot shots, and be a better shooter.
How many shots? What type of shots? Where are you shooting from? What percentage are you aiming? Like 100%. What are you going to
Just
do if
better.
it's raining?
Hmm.
All of the things, all of
Yeah.
the things that can get in the way. But you're right. Like people don't plan. They just say, this is what I want. And then they expect that to happen.
Hmm. And I think I kind of fall guilty of this too. I ain't gonna sit up here and just be like the guy
We
on my
do.
soapbox thing. I have a level of freestyle to my life, and
Yeah.
because I don't like people telling me what to do, even if it's me sometimes. So I just like freestyle and move around and like kind of go off a whim. But at the exact same time, I've done that more because I am an overthinker. So like I had to plan and analyze and be perfect. Then it's like I went nowhere fast because I just plan and plan and plan and plan and plan.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's not perfect yet, and it's like, bro, it's never gonna be perfect. So I just force
Right.
myself to just start and do more things. So I have a I won't say perfect, but a better blend of like very detailed, thought out plan with just running by the seat of my pants and freestyling my butt off to where I figure it out. And somewhere in the middle, I combine like, oh, that plan piece can move into here with the freestyling of this, and it just merges together to where I'm doing stuff.
I completely agree. I think that's a lot better sometimes than the too much planning, right? Like exactly how it's going to look, because then you
Hmm.
get that again. Your reality may not meet your expectation. What's that going to do
Hmm.
to your motivation to even continue? I think
Yeah.
having some basic outlines of like, this is how I'm going to get there, and or these are milestones that I have to reach to achieve that goal are super helpful and important because it at least one, it keeps us motivated because we're hitting those little marks so we feel like we're
Hmm.
making progress. But also it just gives us guideline. Like think of it like a map, like it's putting us on the right
Hmm.
direction.
Yeah. I
It's
become a
very telling me
bigger,
when to turn.
yeah, I become a bigger fan of not necessarily having goals, but more of like, what is the input that I need to have that's required for the output, and really focusing more
Yeah,
on that. So like building
100%.
the habits and the daily things to do, or like what's the weekly, whatever it is to get me to that goal. So my goal is to make, let's say my goal is to make $1 million, right? I was wake up and make $1 million by the end of the year. So it's like, okay,
Ish.
oh, man, I probably wouldn't see me for a minute. If I could do that, I'd disappear off the map. But I still do the podcast, but y'all just want to see me on social media.
Maybe.
But okay, goal is $1 million. What's that in a month? What's that in a week? What's that in a day? With what I'm doing, how can I make that thing happen? Well, I can't do daily because what I do isn't daily. Okay, let's do weekly. Boom. What do I need to do weekly to get to this goal? All right. What's the actions I need to do to actually do this thing to get the outcome now? So then I remove the $1 million and it's like 83,000, something like that. Some crazy number. That's what I
Right.
need to make every month or every week. So now my goal is that. But it's like, okay, here's the milestone, I guess you could say. But here's
Yeah.
like the 3 daily actions you need to have to hit this milestone.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I rewire my brain to think of like, okay, actions lead to this mini goal, but keep
Yeah.
hitting both of these, bouncing back and forth, leads to that bigger goal.
100%. And the piece that you said that makes like the most important piece is it's not just like these baby steps and stuff, it's making habit changes. Like
Hmm.
you have to really embrace and become what you're trying to achieve. So yeah, you got to figure out not just how much does that mean I have to make a week, but how am I going to make that a week? And then
Yeah.
my daily behaviors need to reflect that because if I mess up too bad, I'm off track completely.
Hmm. I think
It's yeah.
one thing that helped me out too is this frame of mind to where it's not me, it's what's the person that does these things? What are they doing? What are they thinking? So what does this version of B look like? Okay, he does this. So,
Mhm.
and when I hit a fork or I hit a mile, I hit a point where I'm just like, dang, I don't know what to do. Well, what would he do? What would me in 10 years do? What would me that makes the $1 million? What would he do? Definitely won't be sleeping right now. All right, let me go get up then. Like, it's that decision making process that I go through that helps me become better. So I think that that's a little hack that people can have is like
100%.
envision that level of them and then apply that to them now. Well, what would they do? I don't know what a millionaire would do. Okay, well, think about it. Like, I don't have millionaire habits. What would a millionaire do? Okay, they probably won't be doing this, this, and this. Okay,
They wouldn't be
they'll
blowing
do
their
that.
money on useless stuff.
That too.
They wouldn't be
So
overdrafting their account. Like all those little things that you can have some control over.
I think that's a big part too. Like the small things we can't control. Like we get so caught up on the big things. It's like, well, I can't do that. What can you do? Like start somewhere with anything.
I always have to tell people, I'm like, you're wasting it. Like it's so easy to be upset and like anxious about the things that we can't control, and you're just wasting energy. You can't do anything about it. Easier said than done, but let it go. Now put all that energy to where you have influence.
Mm. I
Again,
think
easier said
that's
than
hard.
done because I am the one that will
Yeah.
get worked up and people will like, you can't control that. I'm like, and that's why I'm upset because it's not in my control. If it was in my control, it'd be so much easier. And you can't waste energy there. Like, I know I do it sometimes. And then I'll check myself and be like, that's not how that works, Ashley. You know that. You literally know that.
Yeah. That's the gift and the curse of being in this position of knowing things because it's like you know better, but it's like I don't care that I know better. Just let me do this.
My coworkers and I at my last job, we used to just have a joke about it because we're all in the same field. And so we know. And they'll be like, well, I'm like, stop right there. I just want to be mad right now. I'll be
Hmm.
productive in a minute. But right now, I just want to be upset.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, all right, I'll let you go. I'll let you have this moment. Uh-huh. What happened? And like gas and be like, no, seriously, no, what do you need to do? Fine. I'll go do
Hmm.
it.
I have that talk with myself
Yeah.
more and more often. It's like I know what the answer is. So right, let me be in like my ignorant state for like 2 seconds, be, and it's
Let me
like, all right,
pretend
bro, I
I
give you
don't know.
permission. Exactly. So I give myself that permission to be like, all right, go over there and throw your little fit. But when you're ready to have a conversation, come over to the big boys table and we'll figure this out. Like,
Yep.
thank you. Then I'll go over there and like just do whatever, and then come back and like, all right, let's fix this.
It almost reminded me of the meme where it's like, what are you going to do? Cry about it or boss up? And it's like, first of all, I'm going to do both. And like, I just need a minute. Give me a second. But we got to focus on where we have control or the most control, anyways.
Hey, hold on. Oh, time out real quick. We're gonna get back to the episode. I know you're enjoying it. I know you're enjoying the show. But I need you to help me real quick and to make sure that this episode can grow, make sure this podcast, the show can grow overall, and you can keep getting great guests like this. Make sure that you subscribe and follow along. So if you watch right now on YouTube, help me out by hitting the subscribe button. Okay, go ahead and do it real quick. If you're listening in your car, chill out for a second. If you're on Apple or on Spotify, just like when you get a moment, hit the follow button, but not right now while you're driving. If you're working out or something, or you chilling in your room, then go ahead and subscribe with me. Like, help me help you. Okay. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. I'm gonna stop interrupting so you get back to the episode. Thank you. Yeah. Besides losing weight, let's talk about something else. What basketball? So, basketball goals. What are the biggest or like most common things you've heard from hoopers being like, okay, this is my New Year's goal.
A lot of, well, Hoopers, it's interesting because you're kind of in this weird, not completely mid-season, but real close to mid-season at this point. Like you've started a little bit.
Mhm.
A lot of trends this year and into the new year have been like leadership development. I have a lot of athletes who want to be better leaders and teammates. I tend to like keep people away from goals they can't control. So you don't get to control the outcome of a game. There are too
Mhm.
many people on the court, from other players to coaches to refs, that have influence, right? So it's not fair for yourself to set a goal that's like we're going to go undefeated. That's not fair. I can set a goal that I'm going to engage my teammates and be a better leader. I can increase my shooting percentage. I can increase my free throw percentage. A lot of athletes I work with deal with like confidence on their shot a lot. So I can start taking more open opportunities. I can start communicating more. I can aim for this many rebounds a game. Specific statistics are a little bit harder, so I tend to lead my athletes towards more percentages. You have a little bit more control and influence because depending how the game goes, you may just not get shots or you may just not get the playing time to get those rebounds. But how are you taking advantage of those opportunities that you do have? When I work with teams, we typically will set team goals. That's where records come in a little bit more, beating a certain team because they want to have a competition or they're their rivals. Those are where more of those type of goals come in. But I tend to encourage them to also lead with like values. So like, what are you trying to instill as a team, or what does your culture look like, and how are you going to develop that? Because then the results start to follow. Those are a lot of what the goals, a lot of leadership goals this year, a lot.
Is that a surprising thing?
Kind of and kind of no, right? I think when we're looking at athletes who are willing to take time out of their already busy schedule to work on their mental performance, you're already looking at some of the most competitive and most elite athletes because they know that that's somewhere they can develop and they can get better, where there's a lot of people who don't even acknowledge that it's a thing. And then some people just don't know their resources, which is a whole different thing. So for them to say, hey, like, I want to be a better leader. And a lot of it comes down to I'm getting better in these areas and I know I can influence other people to get better as well. And so I was surprised in the sense of like, that's more than usual, but like very proud of them. Like, heck yeah, like go out there and like be a better leader, especially as you're getting older. Some of them, a lot of my athletes have brand new coaches this year. And so they want to help establish the relationship and the culture with the coach and things like that, which I think are great goals to have because you're getting more out of the experience than just the statistics. And if you're talking about looking at going to the next level, your stats aren't the only thing that coaches and recruiters are looking at. So if you can start to develop other ways, that's also really great.
I think that makes sense. As a person who is a leader, you would look to that's what a leader would do basically.
Yeah,
It fits you
exactly.
being a leader. Yeah. You honing in on your skills of how do I increase and do better? Well, leadership is an area that I need to fix.
Yep.
Without knowing it, you are a leader because that's the brain doing what the brain should do as a leader. If that makes sense. So
And when I do goal setting with my athletes, I don't kind of force them in areas. I ask them, the way I do it is something called a performance profile. So basically, think about like what you want. I'll sometimes, depending on where they're at or what they want to achieve, I'll say, hey, like, tell me who's a player that you want to play like you wish you were as good as them, right? Or you want to model after their style. Cool. Seth Curry comes up a lot. Kobe comes up a lot. Okay, so what are 10 qualities that player had to be great? They list their qualities. Okay, now rank yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 and where you already are in each of those qualities. So those lower numbers, we know that those are going to be the areas where you need to focus and develop. All right, so then how are we going to do that? How are we going to tackle your confidence? How are we going to tackle your communication or your self-regulation when you don't get your way? How are we going to start to tackle those? And I think that's where they're seeing that they're not as great as they can be in leaders. And instead of ignoring it and picking those other qualities, they're like, hey, I'm going to step up for the challenge.
So how do you manage too many goals? Like you might want to have a player that comes to you and is like, hey, I want to get better at these 50 things. How do you narrow down to whatever you need to get focused on?
Prioritize. I usually won't help my athletes deliberately focus on more than 3, maybe 5 goals at a time. Usually the magic number is 3. Because if I'm trying to do too many things at once, I'm not putting the energy to develop each of those areas. And so if I'm going to help you achieve your goal, you have to be committed to your goal. You can't be committed to 50 things at once. I'm not even going to quote Deion Sanders about commitment, but you got to be dedicated to it. So what are the 3 most important things? Sometimes, though, some of the goals that they're looking at, we also realize are those milestones or those stepping stones to the bigger goal. So we put those aside and go, okay, that's what you need to do to get here, but that's not going to be your overall goal. So a lot of times it's sitting down and being able to break it into pieces, or like, what's the unspoken message or the what behind your why? So like, what is it you actually want to achieve? How do we get there? But a lot of it comes down to prioritizing what's most important right now.
Okay, so how do we prioritize? How do you figure out what the top 3 is?
It depends on the person. Sometimes it's what are you most like, what is going to be something that you're able to achieve. So what's realistic for you right now and where you are. If you barely played last season and now your goal is to be the number 1 player in your division, that's great to dream, but let's pull that one back a little bit. Let's start with increasing your playing time. What do we need to do to get there, right? And then once we've done that, we can keep moving towards those other goals. But let's see where we are right now. Also looking at what are you most motivated to do? So not in the sense of like, there's so many different sources of motivation, but when you talked about like, what is future B going to do? That's one of the strongest sources. Like, I'm a part of this goal. It's part of my self-identity in a sense. I'm connecting it to who I am as a person and my values. So which of these goals are actually personally meaningful to you? Because when you're working with, especially with youth athletes, a lot of those goals are their parents' goals. They don't care one way or another. And so they're not going to put in the effort or work for it anyways. So what's actually your goal? What do you want? And then some of the goals are like, oftentimes people do really easy things where I'm like, okay, that's not necessarily a goal. That just needs to be a habit. Or that's not a goal. That's just a decision. You just need to do it. Rip off the Band-Aid and get it done. Or like showing up early to practice. We're not going to make that a goal. That just needs to be your habit. Like a part of the process. So it's really sitting down and looking at, like I said, what's most important, what's most likely to be attainable, and then what is actually meaningful to you.
All right, so we talked about the goal planning and everything for the year. Let's help somebody out. So
Okay.
they have a goal.
All right.
Okay. The first step is to do what? Let's just keep it specific, but as broad as possible.
So what are you trying to achieve? And then when do you want to achieve it by?
Okay.
Give yourself a suspense date because that's going to help you prevent procrastination, essentially.
Yes. Okay. Glad you said that because I didn't want to talk about this.
Okay.
So I had a friend who was against having goals to an extent because it put a level of anxiety around not hitting it.
Yeah.
And then she sent the clip about, I think it was D Wade, saying similar thing. Well, he doesn't really set goals because I don't want to say this because I might not be quoting it the best way. So, bear with me if I'm incorrect, people. But he said he don't like setting goals because it's like an anxiousness around it. Because if big thing in our culture is by this age, you need to be doing this thing. You need to be married by this age, have this much money, whatever that thing is. So when that age comes or it's getting closer, it's like, oh, snap, I'm hitting 25, I'm not there yet. Oh, snap, I'm 30, I'm not there yet. That's the issue they have with setting goals. How do we handle that?
Well, some of it is anxiety is a good thing when it comes to goal achievement. It holds your feet to the fire, right? So if you have a little bit of anxiety when it comes to achieving your goal, it's going to make it easier to stay on the grind, right? Oftentimes people forget that physiologically there's really no difference between anxiety and excitement. It's all in the way that we think about it. So if we can use that anxiety for positive energy to move us forward, that's exactly what we want. Now, some of those other types of goals that people are talking about, like I want to be married by this age or have a family by this age, I steer away from those type of goals because there's too many variables that contribute to them. I don't get to just be like, poof, I'm going to work really hard and I'm going to be married. I also have to meet someone and be in a committed relationship and make the relationship work. And they also have to want the same thing I do, right? So like
Mhm.
I can't set that as a goal because I'm not completely in control of that. And so I don't tend to like have people set those type of goals. I'm really big on like performance related goals, even dream goals. Like I want to travel to this place or I want to retire by this age. Um, because I have significantly more control over that outcome. The more people are involved, the harder it becomes to achieve it, right? And so I think
Mhm.
when people set those types of goals, yeah, it's going to cause a lot of them to be counterproductive. It's going to cause a lot of anxiety because they're not in control of that. That so much of that is up just kind of like to the universe, to God, to whatever you believe in, right? Um, and in some of those cases, again, it's not personally meaningful to them. Society has just told them it should be. So maybe they don't actually care about that, but they're told that they need to care about it. So now I have to fit into the mold.
I heard Gary Vee say this, and I'm super jealous because I didn't think of it first. He said a lack of motivation or basically being lazy is not a bad thing. It is probably a sign that you don't want this thing like you say you do. So there's something that you do care about that you're not lazy about, you've never been lazy
Right.
about. And that can be an indication of like, this is where you're real passionate. So if you, people say they want to do a podcast, but if you're lazy and not even putting in the work to it, or you say you want to be a hooper, but you think about practicing, it's like, I don't want to get out there and hoop. Well, maybe it's not your thing. You might want to just draw every day.
Maybe
That
you
might be
really
the thing you
don't
want
want
to do.
it. Maybe you really don't
Exactly.
want it.
Yeah.
And some of it, like, obviously, there's so many layers. Some of it, like I said, a lot of it can be fear.
Hmm.
The fear, like, people often think about like fear of failure, which is huge, right? If I don't put in the effort, then I have an excuse when I don't achieve it.
Hmm.
Like I didn't try. So I didn't, not because I'm not good, but because I didn't try. And also
Hmm.
people fear success. I just achieved this goal. Now what? I work with a lot of people, especially in the military, because I work in a training environment. I'm training pilots who are often saying things like, I've got my wings. I passed this course. Now what? There's a
Hmm.
lot of research too with like marathon runners. They put in all this effort and energy up into the marathon. After they've run the race, a lot of them go into depression
Hmm.
because now what, right? And
Yeah.
so I think sometimes people feel like, or they do feel like this, if I keep putting it off, then I don't have that lull, right?
Hmm.
Now, yeah, sometimes you just need to sit and be lazy. Sometimes if you don't care, let it go.
Yeah.
But
I think it's kind of tough to manage the motivation, laziness of this is what I want to do, but I'm just kind of just being lazy about it versus this isn't what I want to do.
Mhm.
And I think that's the part that I've been balancing with mental. Like, how do you figure out where that goes? Because I am extremely lazy about working out. I'm not like a passionate fitness enthusiast. I have pockets where I'm just like, bruh, this bed is amazing. And that weight room hurts. I'm gonna stay on this side. So, but then I have other pockets where it's like I'm going crazy. Like cold, I'm still going out running. Or it's this time, I don't care. I'm still going out to work out. And I know why I do it now internally for me, but I don't know how to translate that to where it's like more objective to other people. Since this is your lane, I'm gonna defer to you.
some of it, it's the type of motivation we're using to get through the goal more than anything.
Hmm.
So, like asking yourself and having that conversation of why do I even want this? Like, what about this goal is even important to me? Maybe, like, I don't actually care if I weigh 300 pounds, and that's why I don't want to go to the gym.
Hmm.
Or do you not want to go to the gym because it's hard and you've had
Yeah.
a long day and you don't want to do more hard things, right? Those are two
Hmm.
very different reasons. And so if we look at what's motivating us and you say, "Oh, I just don't want to be the biggest one in my friend group." All right, you're using some shame and guilt there, right? Shame and guilt are very, very powerful motivators. In the
Hmm.
sports world, a lot of people are motivated by, I don't want to let my team down.
Yeah.
And when that happens and you're solely relying on shame and guilt to motivate you, all it does is decrease your confidence and increase your anxiety. So now you're going into a fight or flight response. Fight, flight, or freeze, right? So in the case of laziness, a lot of times it's people freezing. I'm just not going to do it at all. Some of it is, so then when you're talking about motivation, what works better, either connecting it to like the long-term outcome or connecting it to who you are as a person. So I'm working out not so I can look great in a bathing suit, but I'm working out so I have better health and can live longer. Those are two very different things. Or I always use this one like when I'm teaching. I hate cardio. Cardio sucks to me. I hate running. I know you see my spin bike back there. That is the only cardio I will do. That and like cardio Pilates classes because running is not my thing. And I have a master's degree in sport and performance psychology. So how can I get up and talk about motivating people to do things that they don't always enjoy if I can't get up and motivate myself? So I have to lead by example by doing the same hard things that I expect other people to do. And that is a lot more motivating to me than like, oh, I don't want to be the fattest one in my friend group. That's going to get me going a lot more because sometimes I'd be like, screw it, I'll be the fat one, whatever. Like, whatever. So it's really connecting it as much as you can to the why or who you are as a person and how that develops who you want to be, how you see yourself.
I kind of want to connect that to the fear of failure thing. At one point, I was like, I don't remember what made me think about it, but I've messed up and did something wrong. And I was like, I actually don't care. Like, I failed and I didn't care. And I was like, surprising. Why didn't I care this time? And it took me, man, to finally figure out it's because, oh, nobody actually knows about these things. And I was like, oh, snap. If somebody else saw this, I'll probably feel away. And it's not the actual failure that messes us up to where we just feel shame and guilt. It's the public, it's the perception of the failure. So if you fall in your room when nobody's around, you probably laugh your butt off and it's like, ah, whatever. You do that in front of this guy or girl that you like your crush, or you do it in front of your team and it's the gym full of people and you fall down the bleachers. So now you're holding your head in shame, putting the hoodie over your head, tying it so where nobody can see your face because you feel that guilt now. It's like, oh, snap, the social stigma is hitting me now. So that's how we are with our goals to where if we fail in private, it ain't even a failure, bro. It's just whatever. It's just something I did. When it's in public, now it's, oh, man, what do people think? Da, 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 da. So,
Right. And that's one of the biggest things that's going to get in people's way. I do think one of the several big things that can get in people's way. But I do think it's important to tell people what our goals are. Not like everybody needs to know, but telling that right person to kind of hold us accountable. That person that's going to be like, hey, you got this. How's it going? Like checking in sometimes because we procrastinate, we put it off, we forget. And so you want that person that's going to be there with you through the process and not the person that's going to cheer when you fail, not the person that's going to be like, I told you couldn't do this, not the person that's going to be the hater. Like everybody doesn't need in our business to be in your business. I had a friend who always says like, stop telling everybody everything you're working on because there's people preying on your downfall. And like 100%. And there are people that are going to help you achieve your goals. So you have to be able to identify the right person.
I think that's tough for a lot of, especially when we were younger. Like it was tough to like know your
Who?
classmates. Okay, in a room of 15 classmates, right? You have two who are probably just kind of rooting for you. They don't actually know you enough to be like, go Ashley, like actually rooting for you. But it's
Right.
like, if she does well, cool. I'm
Right.
glad
Like,
for
oh,
her.
good for her.
Yeah. Then you have like a big group out of the 15, let's say 8, who are like, I don't care one way or another. You do what you do, cool. You don't do what you do, cool. So I said 2, 8, so that's 10. You have 5 left. All right. uh, so out of those 5, you probably have 2 or 3 who are like your friends that actually root for you and that genuinely like, Ashley, what are we doing? Get your head on straight. Let's
Yep.
do this. The other 2 or 3 like your actual haters, like people who are just like the classroom bully, stereotypical thing, whatever. And I think when we can like really rationalize it to that, and it's like most people don't care. All right,
We
cool.
don't. Whether you win or lose, they don't care.
Yeah. So use the people that don't care as all like, okay, you're my fan. I'm lumping you over here. Forget that. You my
Yeah.
fans today. The 2 or 3 that actually hate and don't support me, cool. Put y'all over there. The rest of you guys, I'm gonna need y'all for some support.
Yeah.
But the main two that's gonna hold me accountable and really be my true cheerleaders, my true coaches,
Yep.
lean on them.
Yep.
But you have to really lock in and find those 2 or 3. Like I have 2 guys, like they're the only people who know ideas before I actually execute on. Well, one of them, he kind of like my brother. I have to come correcting him with stuff because it's like, okay, what's the plan? I got an idea, man. What's the plan? Like, dang, all right, pause. Let me come back to you.
You're like, I'm just in the dream mode right now, not the plan mode. And that's, I
Yeah.
mean, it's important. Like, I have some friends that I've had at this point for like 20 years. And sometimes I'll forget, especially my friend Alex, I'll forget I told her something. And she'll hit me up weeks later and she'll be like, how'd this go? Have you worked towards this? Like, have you made any progress? And sometimes I'm like, yes, thanks for checking in. I'm so excited. And other times I'm like, I really wish I didn't tell you. I really like, thank you because you're right. I'm slacking. And man, I wish I didn't. So it works. And for the most part, it works in our advantage. But every now and then I'm like, I forgot I told you that. Yep, you're right. I'm working on it. Working on it. But it's good to have people in
Yeah.
your corner that want to see you do well.
Yes, that's very true. I had this analogy of like I can't remember exactly. It was dope though. Hopefully I can remember. So when you're running a marathon, there are certain places that they have in their environment to help you succeed. So they have a pace setter that's there to keep you on track to where you're not gonna go too slow, but you're not gonna go too fast to burn yourself out. They have water placements. I think it's like every 2 or 3 miles they have set there. You're gonna have fans and stuff cheering you on at the crowd, and I think it's one more. I can't remember exactly. But the pace setter is basically like the accountability person that's there to kind of keep you in check to say, hey, you said you're going to be doing X, Y, and Z. You said you're going to get up shots every day. How you been doing so far? How'd you do this week?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're the ones to keep you in line to kind of like, hey, this is where you need to go. Do this, do that. You're going to have the people who are like the waters who refresh you. And it's like, okay, man, times getting tough. Times are getting hard. But here's a moment to refresh and like take a moment. This is what you've been doing. This is what you need to do to get you back on track. Then you have like the fans who are just going to cheer you on. The people who are going to be like your mom and dad just going to love you no matter what. Your big brother, big sister, little homies, whoever that look up to you. That's like, yo,
Yep.
I don't care what you just did. You're a superhero in my eyes. You need to have a blend of all three on our journey as you were setting our New Year's goals, which you just said is trash. But you need to have them people regardless because that's what kind of gets you going through
Yeah.
when you don't feel like doing it or when things go left and you
Right.
had the plan, but the plan went bad, but now they're back on track. So those like 3 people, might be 4. I'm hopefully I'm not forgetting it, but those 3 that I thought of.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, there's so much that we cannot do by ourselves, and our goal achievement's one of them. And when we're talking about, like, yeah, I don't like the word New Year's resolutions, but if you're willing to make some habit changes right now, and like the first day of the year is what motivates you to do it, make those changes. Just stay on them. Like, don't give up. Don't be the person that's not in the gym after February. But yeah, get people around you to support you. Get the right people around you to support you.
Yeah. If y'all want to steal that analogy, just credit me first. Because I think
You
it's a
credit
good
the
one.
first time. After that, it's mine.
I need to. Try to get people there too. So I want my 2. If you want to do more than that, I'll appreciate it, but I want to. All right. So I still want to get back on track to being more practical. So they have a goal
Mm-hmm.
and they have to figure out the plan or the why first.
The suspense, then the why. So when do you want to achieve? Or actually, either order. But yeah, what's the goal? Why do I want to achieve it? Why is it important to me? How does this connect to who I am as a person? What is the big term picture of why I need to achieve this goal? And then give yourself a deadline. Start holding your feet to the fire.
I think for me, deadline matters more sometimes because once again, I used to be a big perfectionist. So it's like, all right, cutoff time because that ramps up my speed of when to do things. So like, man, I don't feel like editing this podcast, bro. You have to put it out by this date. That's what helped me be so consistent. It's like, bro, every Monday you have to drop.
Yep.
And it's like the public perception of it too. So I have that public accountability to be like, hey, it's Monday, bro.
Where's it
What
at?
happened to the episode? Oh snap. Okay, I have to be on it. Okay, got you. So that deadline keeps me in track and keeps me aligned to where it's like, okay, I have to make sure I edit it by this time and it's up there, da 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 da. So for me, deadlines are super, super, super important because without them, I would be still painting the Mona Lisa to this day for like 16 years of my life, and it would never come out because it's not perfect.
So there's actually one of my favorite research articles I've ever read. And I say it's my favorite because I'm also a little bit of a perfectionist and a procrastinator. So it works in my advantage. But there's
Mhm.
research that says that perfectionists tend to procrastinate a lot and they do better when they do because of that exact reason. If I give myself a deadline and now I don't have time to like obsess over every little detail because I have to get it in, they're going to hold themselves to that fire. Like think about a student writing a paper. If they wait to the last minute, that's less time that they can continue to edit it. If I wrote this
Mhm.
paper when I first got assigned it and now I'm sitting on it for 2 weeks, I'm probably going to look at that paper 10 times
Yeah.
just to make sure, right? But if I wait to the night before, I got one edit and then that's it. And
Mhm.
so sometimes that works in people's advantage. Not for everybody, but sometimes it does work in perfectionist advantage.
Yeah. I think it worked for me because I don't like to consider myself super creative, but I do have a level of creativity about me for sure. And so when let's say I have that first idea, the dream comes to me. It's like, oh man, it's so great. And I get all this inspiration comes in, all this stuff. And it's like, okay, the first thing kind of do is like, what's the first plan? What's the first move? And that kind of helps me get the ball rolling. But then it gets to a point where perfectionist comes in and it's like, okay, B, what's the next move? We have to put this out now. What's the thing? Then a deadline comes in play. It's like, okay, dreaming has to come to an end, cut it off. Now we have to implement the plan and start doing things now. So then it gives me more room. So let's say you had a month to write the paper. All right, all the ideas what the paper can be about is coming in. All right, bro, you got 2 more hours to figure out what's it going to be about and start mapping out the paper or whatever. So deadline now I have 2 weeks to write the paper versus the full month or 6 weeks, whatever.
Right.
Type it out, get it done. By the time I get close to the end, it's like, man, it'd be cool if I could go back and like add sprinkles right here and I can clean up this, and this. To where now it's perfectionist, but like it's the last little 20 or 10%
Right.
making it even better. So that's where it's like that balance comes in for me to where now I can be more creative. Like I got it functional to where it's a paper with the words on there. Now I can add the sprinkles to make it better. Like it's a pound cake at first. Now we can add more icing and put the sprinkles and everything else on top.
So, yep. Also, I have to make dessert for work on Thursday, and I'm like, oh, I can make pound cakes. Like, and be like all the time. And so I was like, huh, that's actually a good idea. But yeah, like giving yourself time to,
We're not supposed to cook on pound cake, man.
man, I have a big sweet tooth. It is what it is.
Welcome to the club.
What it is.
Oh
Um,
man.
but yeah, being able to prevent procrastination is one of the things I get in people's way. And like it's okay, like you said, like if I get to be creative and then add my razzle dazzle on the end, that's good. But I'm the one that'll be like, I don't like this sentence structure. I don't, and so nope. I'm not even thinking about it until the week of because
Mhm.
I do too much. I even told my friends one day, I was like, you know what my favorite way of teaching is? And they're like, what is that? And I was like, when I have no time to prep. When they're just like, hey, Ashley, go talk about this for an hour. And I'm like, it's like a game of improv. Let's go.
Mhm.
My friends were like, you're actually insane. And I was like, nah, it's just like I'm alive a little bit, you know? Like, you know how much time I'll
Mhm.
spend at night prepping for a class that I know in advance? This is great. Makes me trust
Mhm.
my instincts and my knowledge.
Yo, you just said something right there. I think a lot of that comes into with the lack of trust. So I know for me, depending on what it is, that freestyle will be a gift or a curse.
Oh
Cause
yeah, yeah.
boy, I will bomb
Preparation
that.
matters.
Yeah, so
I can do
there's a
that
level of
now
like,
because I did the obsession and prep work before. So now I'm like, I got it. I know I have a flow. It is not a, hey, I've never talked about this in my life. Let me just roll out the
yeah,
no. I no. Uh-uh.
that's what like when I'm training, I try to balance between like the structure of we're going to do this and rep this out, but then within that I give a level of freestyle because we're training to learn to do this specific skill, the specific outcome, whatever. We're training to get left hand layup or whatever. So we're gonna rep it out to where you have the footwork or you have a little functionality to be able to do it. But then it's like the moment you get a little comfortable with it, now we're gonna throw you in the fire and like, okay, do it with some pressure, do it against some defense to where
Yeah.
you're gonna skip that bridge of like 100 reps. No, we're gonna get 25 in. Good enough. All right, cool. Throw you in the fire to where now you have to actually like do it. Now you have to be a left-handed layup
Make it as
maker.
realistic as possible, as game time as possible.
Exactly. So that preparation comes in because now you have more confidence. Like I put in 25 reps, you making it, so you know it's doable. So I don't want to hear when you start missing with the pressure on you that you can't do it. You just showed me
Well,
that you can do it now. So now it's like, all right, cool.
that's when you
We're
call
in the
it. Fire.
fire now.
That's the
Exactly.
psychological.
So like, all right, I can't do it. Shut up. You just make 25 of them. Now let's make it this one.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it works. And it's just giving yourself evidence and proof that, okay, I can do this now because I've just done it now. So that's like, for me, I got in better with the freestyle because, like you said before, the perfectionist, the over planning, the overthinking
We get
comes in
stuck in our
so much of
heads.
the hand. Yeah. So I've gotten better with the freestyle now because of that. So like these interviews, oh Lord have mercy. I think I was terrible in the beginning. I say that first. I think I'm not that great now, but I'm a lot better than I was before. And like my first two interviews, I actually tried to prepare for, didn't like them at all. And I was like, you know what? Let me just try things, and it flowed a lot better in my opinion,
Yeah.
and it just went better. Now I'm decent, you know. I make it a pretty decent show if I do say so myself. So that's what like the preparation, but the preparation comes like doing it multiple times, knowing what I'm thinking about. So it's like I don't have to prep of what we're talking about now. I've read so many books, so many podcasts, YouTube, thought about this on a regular. So it's easy for me to flow into it now to where, all right, we're recording. Shoot. All right, boom. What we
Let's
talking
roll.
about?
Yeah.
Cool.
Confidence comes from putting in the work before. I always tell
Hmm.
like, especially my basketball players, I'm like, you're afraid to shoot. And they're like, well, yeah, like this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, how many shots do you put up outside of practice? None.
Yep.
Do you think, okay, like who's your favorite shooter? Seth Curry. Do you think Seth Curry is only putting up shots at practice? And then they're like, no, he probably shoots all the time. Okay. So what do you need to do to get there? I probably should put up more shots. There you go. There it is. There it is. The answers are there. You just got to follow it. Like the
Hmm.
answers to the test are there. You just got to look at the study guide.
Yeah, that's the funny one. It's like, well, I'm not doing this right. Have you trained it? Have you worked on it?
Right.
Well, not really. Thank you.
Like sometimes I'm just like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like, right, right.
Yeah. It's funny. Now that I'm older, I look at them like, yeah, this is kind of funny. It's sad, but it's still funny because once they hit it, it's like, oh, yeah,
Once that it like, you're
you're
like,
welcome.
wait a minute.
Oh man, kids these days,
Yeah.
gotta love them. But okay,
It's really fun.
have a goal.
Youth athletes. All right, have a
Oh
goal.
man, we have our why,
Your why,
we have our plan.
our suspense date. We haven't gotten to a plan yet. We have our suspense date.
Okay, we have deadline, our
Yep.
suspense date. Now, plan.
I look at upcoming likely obstacles. So this is where we get back to that bouncing back and forth, benefits and obstacles. Because if
Okay,
I
got
already know what's going to get in my way, that's going to help me structure my plan, or can get in my way is going to help me be able to structure that plan. Also, doing that helps you realize, like, is this goal even achievable? If I can't think of a single thing that could possibly get in my way, it's probably too easy for me to set and I can challenge myself a little bit more. If there's 100 things that can get in my way and only one good outcome, it's probably too hard and I need to break it down a little bit more. And so it lets me know in that moment, is this even realistic for where I am right now? From there, that's when we're going to start to develop that plan. So contingencies for when those things start to get in our way, but also a lot of people talk about like SMART goals. I don't love them and I don't hate them. I think they're very situation dependent, but I do like them as that kind of like what you said, input, output, right? That input piece. What do I need to do to get that overall achievement goal? So I may not use all the letters of SMART, but I want to be as detailed as I can for that situation. So instead of saying, hey, I want to improve my shooting percentage, so I'm going to put up more shots. What is more shots? Is that one more shot a day? Because that qualifies as more. Or am I putting up 100 shots a day? Or am I just dedicating 30 minutes to shooting outside of practice, right? So giving a little bit more detailed description in that way, because it's essentially like setting your terms and conditions for goal achievement. What am I going to agree to get that outcome that I want?
All right. Okay. Another timeout. Okay. Look, if you got to this point, you have to be enjoying the episode. Like you have to. At this point in the episode, you're enjoying it. So help me help you. Just if you're on Apple right now and you're on your phone, okay, just take your phone, press the subscribe button. It's right there. Just do that with me. Even if on your laptop, take your mouse, boom, click over, boom, do your thing. Now you subscribe. Now you linked in because you don't want to miss the next great episode that I have. But doing stuff like this helps the episode grow, makes the show grow, and the podcast grow so I can keep getting great guests and keep doing great interviews. So if you listen on Apple or Spotify, take a second, look at your phone, press the follow button, okay? And share with a friend or two because you'll find the value in this. You want to have this conversation with your friends so they can have the same value. Now the whole basketball community can grow. All right. Thanks for listening so far. I'm gonna get out your way. Let's get back to the episode. Appreciate you. I'm a fan of SMART goals because it gives a very foundational base of like how to start thinking through goals now.
100%.
Like you said, I want to become a better shooter. Okay. If you want to go through SMART goals, specific, what does that mean? What the heck does a better shooter mean? You want to hit the rim finally? Okay, we can do that. You airball, now we hit the rim. Better shooter. Congratulations. Specifically, okay, I'm going to be able to shoot 40% from three. Tough. All right, cool. That's the goal. Let's measure that now. How do we make sure that we're where we at now to where we get into?
Yep.
What's A?
For A, I usually use action focus. So what am I going to focusing on what we can do versus what we can't do? So like, it's easier. Like say I decide I want to start like drinking more water, right? Instead of being like, I'm not going to drink soda because my brain is going to then be craving soda because we don't process negatives very well. I'm going to drink this much water or I'm going to take this many shots versus like, I'm not going to miss. Okay, yeah. Good luck. So being more action focused is what I tend to look at AS.
All right, cool, because I forgot what it was. So you got my back. That was A. R is realistic. Realistic. Are we really going to go from, yes, realistic for you. So you want to shoot 40%, but you were shooting 20% last season. It's very tough.
Let's go for 25-30 and build from there.
That's very realistic. So, okay, boom. That's more ideal. Does it break your brain to think how to get 40%? Then let's not go there. Cool. Can we go 21%, bro? Like, come on. Like, let's be smart about this.
In some cases, that's maybe where you need to go.
So, realistic, and then T is time bound. So they stole our idea and like you got to put a deadline on it. So we'll let them have that. But whatever, it's cool. But time bound. What's the time frame of doing this? Am I doing this in the summer? Am I doing this in the week? Am I doing this in the month? Like, what's the time frame of start to hit this end goal, the end plan? So I like it because it's a very good foundational piece to start thinking through But then I start going through more, so I'm like, bro, this doesn't apply, and
Yeah.
it doesn't make full sense. And then
It doesn't apply to everything. As you get more proficient at setting and achieving goals, you realize like some things I just don't need that much detail.
mhm.
And that's okay. But that's why I said I don't hate it. For people who are just figuring out how to even set a goal, SMART is a great guideline.
Yeah,
It is great to start with. And then yeah, every now and then you're like, maybe this isn't going to be time bound, or maybe like I don't really know what action I need to take here. I just know that like I need to get this piece done, right? Or like maybe I don't
mhm.
have a stat. I just know that hey, I'm going to shoot for 30 minutes a day. That's not measurable, but it's time bound. So that's giving me
Yeah,
something, right? Um
mhm.
yeah, it just depends on where you're at.
Yeah. And then have you heard of smarter goals with the ER?
No. What's the ER?
I was hoping you knew because I don't got a whole freaking
I was like, let me Google it.
smarter goals acronym. There we go. All right. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant time. Okay, that's smart. I need the ER people. Come on, Google. Supposed to have my back.
It was like, haha, nope. I know you're recording. We're not being just giving you out the answers.
All right, smart. Okay, smarter. ER come from da 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 da. Okay, I need to know what it is. E is evaluate. Okay, I like that. And
Okay.
R is for revise. Yeah,
Oh,
evaluate and
yeah, yeah.
revise.
I look at it, see, I use that as a separate step more so of like AARing your goal or more like an IPR. So like in progress review. So let me check
Mhm.
in on where I'm at and then adjust my progress based upon where I am. Maybe I'm getting there quicker than I thought, or maybe I'm not. I'm moving a lot slower. So how can I adjust? I just have never thought of that like a part of SMART, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably my most favorite part because this is why I kind of say hard work is overrated because sometimes we just keep running our head into a wall and we never look up to be like, oh, there's a freaking door right there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And
I,
but I do cautious myself in saying it because like most of us are lazy and you just need to work hard. Like 9 out of 10, the answer is work harder for most people, especially my audience.
I got in trouble on social media because people thought I was throwing shade at someone specific, which I swear to you I wasn't. Like I hit dogs will holler, right? But I had made a comment about like, are you being productive or are you just busy? Like just
Hmm.
because you're doing work, it doesn't mean it's putting you in the right direction to achieve your goal. You have to be doing the right work and the right practice and the right amount of effort and be deliberate in it. So just because you're
Hmm.
posting all these like highlight reels or all these videos of you in the gym or like talking about how busy you are, whatever, it doesn't mean you're making the right steps towards your goal. You're just filling your time. Work
Yeah,
smarter, not harder. I'm a big fan.
yeah. But I try to give both sides of it because I know 90% of people just need to work harder, myself included. Just work harder. At some point, trying to work smart, like I feel like you have to earn working smart because you don't know what you're doing at first. So 9 out of 10, just go bust your butt, go figure out what to do in the space. Get familiar with it. Like just go shoot. You don't even know what the good form is. Go figure out your form. Go get up shots. Get reps in. Because then you start to be like, okay, maybe if I tweak this, my shot keep going left. If I change this, but you don't know that unless you start working hard and just go put up the shots first.
But that's still being deliberate. You're still
Hmm.
moving in the right direction. You're still making progress.
Exactly.
There are the people that are just like, I'm in the gym and they're shooting layups the whole time, but their goal are 3 pointers. When are you gonna go
Hmm.
shoot the threes? But you're in the gym. You're putting in the work. I see you. I see you. Or like I think about it when you're procrastinating, almost like when you're procrastinating. I need to get this podcast out, but I'm like scrolling Instagram and then I'm telling people, no, I'm working on the podcast. I'm working on the podcast. The screen is up, but I'm not
Hmm.
doing it. And now I'm like, dang, it took me forever to get that podcast out. You
Yeah.
missed it. Okay. You're right. You're right. It just took forever. That's what I mean in
Yep.
more of that sense of like Sometimes we just fill our time because we're supposed to fill our time, but we're not doing it in the right direction.
I think it's a good blend of both. So I do like the ER. I think the ER part might be my most favorite because a lot of people are just doing empty work. You know, it's run on a treadmill, so you're going nowhere fast.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, when are we going to take a step back and actually look at being productive with our work or making sure that we're heading in the right direction? Like
Yeah.
that's why for me, progress on the goal is so important because like you can be working, like one of the greatest poets of our time said. He said, "Good news is you came a long way. The bad news is you went the wrong way." I don't see what's so funny about that. That's a great
It's the fact that you
line
quoted
from.
him. Also, very excited. I got tickets to see him in January for the win.
Okay, how much did it cost?
I said I wasn't going to spend more than 200 a ticket, but after fees and taxes, it was like 250 or 550.
Sheesh.
Um,
Tough.
but which is I've seen him in concert at this point like 4 or 5 times. And it's worth it every time. So I was like, I had a little bit of buyer's remorse, a little bit. And then I decided I deserved a Christmas present. And there we go. It is what it is. And I may end up getting some free seats anyways and be able to sell my tickets. So
Oh man, I'm not jealous. That sucks. Good for you. Good for you, Ashley. Whatever. Anyway,
nobody
I know it's gonna be a grip
on
though.
that so quick.
Yeah.
I'm like in my car
I know it's gonna
at
be.
work and everyone's like waving and I'm like, tickets drop in 30 seconds. I'll talk to you in a minute. Make sure my portal is locked up.
I ain't even set myself up for failure because I knew once it was Drake and him, I'm like, okay, Drake is the.
I think
I'm not going
Ticketmaster
Drake
heard
on
me
it.
talking bad because I kept saying Ticketmaster was the start of my villain origin story. Like I didn't get Beyonce tickets, I didn't get first round Drake tickets, I didn't get SZA tickets, I didn't get Jonas Brothers tickets. How did I get Jonas Brothers tickets? Jonas Brothers. I didn't get Taylor Swift tickets twice. I said, listen, I'm a concert goer, and Ticketmaster played me all 2023. So I needed this win. They knew I was about to like lose it. So they gave me a little survey. I gave them all 5-star reviews. Of course, I trust Ticketmaster. Best ticket seller on the planet. Sure got my tickets. Doing this. So, but
Well,
anyway,
congratulations. Enjoy
back
it for the
to
both of us.
made it a long way. Turns out you went the wrong way.
Yes. Good news is you came a long way. Bad news is you went the wrong way. And so I am so proud of side note. I'm so proud of myself for not losing that thought and train of thought because I usually do, and I'm like lost in oblivion of like where I was going. So I'm proud of myself for getting back on track. Just throwing it in for your listeners. But yes, a lot of us work to where we're going hard or we're going somewhere, but it's like, bro, like you said, your goal is to become a better shooter. All you doing is layup drills, and you're just like trying to fillet the whole time, and it's like,
Yep. Are you just sitting on
why?
the corner dribbling? Okay.
Steph Curry, it is. Yeah, the 40% shooting is coming on 2K because not in real life because you're not putting in the work. So hey,
Yeah. Your
it is
player
what it is.
stats on 2K. But it's me. It looks just like me.
Got my name and everything, man. Like, okay, all right. Tell your high school coach that. Tell your middle school coach that. Tell these college coaches that.
Right.
Don't tell me. But but no, that's where the ER comes in. I do enjoy that part of it. I think that's the only part that I feel like will be the consistent of the SMART goals. It's like, all right, let's evaluate and revise the plan.
Yeah.
Time bound too, but as best as you can. But those two I feel like going to be always consistent because you're going to have a plan, have a goal. Let's tweak things and okay, this is a bad idea. Let's steer the boat a little bit this way. So that's why I do like the ER of the SMART goals over the other five too.
I agree. You got to check in on your goals and see where you're at. And then, like, What is it? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over again and expecting different results. If
Hmm.
it's not working, that doesn't mean give up. It means readjust.
Hmm.
But it's easier to give up. Just
Oh
readjust the
yeah.
plan.
Yeah. So would that be the next step? You have the plan, you work the plan, and then
You check in
tweak
on
it.
yourself and then readjust as needed. Rinse and repeat until you get there.
So that's it.
Yeah.
You guys have goals. We gave you a layout of how to get to your goal in spite of having New Year's resolutions that we disagree with. So 2024 is going to be a great year for you guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
A lot of success along the way.
yeah, a lot of planning, a lot of thinking, a lot of strategy
Ooh.
this year.
That's the first part of a goal. You got to have a dream, a vision.
Mm, mm. I'm trying to think of more words to say. My brain just went blank. So, but nah, I think that's a really solid layout of like. First, we gave like the thought process of goals and dreaming and that fun stuff. But then we gave like very practical. It's like, hey, for 2024, here's the layout of how to go to your goals and your dreams and your visions. So I feel like this was a great episode. You got
Yeah,
anything else you want to add?
I think so. Do I
All
have
right,
anything
cool.
to
So,
add?
mhm,
I think having something that's going to motivate you along the way is important. So, what you tell yourself matters. What you tell yourself impacts your performance. Our thoughts are what drive or dictate how we feel and what happens in our body physiologically and what we do, and all that impacts our performance. So, having like a thought, a saying, a Bible verse, a song lyric, a whatever you want that you can tell yourself when you start to feel like you're lacking motivation or you're lacking confidence or you just don't want to get out of your bed and do it that day, what's going to hold you
mhm,
accountable? So like when I'm in the gym, I usually tell myself like beast mode, like this is where we're at, this is where the realm we're in right now. Sometimes I think about like one of my favorite Bible verses is like faith without works is dead. So I can't
mhm,
just say that I want it. I actually have to put in the work to get it, or otherwise it
mhm,
doesn't matter what I'm asking for. I use that one a lot. I mean, I have a lot depending on the situation, but it literally can be whatever you tell yourself. A lot of the times it's song lyrics. But when I'm
mhm.
like, man, cardio feels so hard today, what am I
Yeah.
going to tell myself?
I think, yeah, this is probably the last thing I do want to say is have multiple tricks in your bag as a source of motivation because sometimes it is like the anger. I thrive on that a lot, like the anger or like the proving people wrong or like the forget you mentality. I will lean on that heavy. Sometimes it is, man. I just really love and enjoy doing this thing, and I just want to keep doing it. Pull that out your bag. Sometimes it's like the goal has to get done. It's like it's not negative and it ain't bad. Just like, bruh, this podcast got to go out. I don't care how you feel.
And
Do it.
sometimes it's, hey, if I do this, I get to buy dinner instead of cooking. Whatever's going to get you through it. Just do it. Like Nike
Yeah. So
says.
just have, yeah. Get Nike. They ain't paying me. So have multiple things. Maybe I shouldn't have said that because they can't pay me. And I'm wearing a hoodie too. So
I get you.
okay. I mean, they can cut me a check and we'll talk about it more. Anyway, until that happens, have multiple things in your bag to pull out for motivation, like to get you through. Because sometimes that one, I call it like gas station. Like you go to the gas station, you have three pumps. Sometimes you need to pull out the one that just is from anger. You just pissed off. Somebody said you can't do it. You got the haters. All right, I'm proving my haters wrong. All right, fill yourself up with that one. Cool. Some days it's just what I love doing. I love doing this thing. I just enjoy hooping so much. I'm gonna get out and hoop. All right, cool. Pull that one out. Fill your gas up with that one. Sometimes it is whatever reward you want to have for yourself. Sometimes it is just like the job has to get whatever that thing is for you. Have multiple tricks out your bag to pull out to get yourself going through to get through because you can speak to this just as well as I can. I don't feel like doing everything that I do. Bruh, once again, my bed feels amazing. It is cold as heck right now. I don't want to be out and doing stuff.
Can
But
you
man,
imagine? what we could achieve if we just were like naturally excited for everything.
The world would be weird,
If we would.
low key. It'd be so weird. Like, I'm so happy. Like, no, you're not, bro. Like, stop it.
We lying too.
Like, them people who are just chipper every morning and you just seem so optimistic every morning. I'm like, bro, I respect you to an extent, and you get on my nerves to the other half. It's like, bro, how?
Why?
How? This job cool, but no, I don't feel like you feel. It's cool, you know. Maybe because I'm overly nonchalant, so it's like that's me 90% of the time anyway. But how are you like there 90% of the time? Like my nonchalant is you're there. Like I don't get those people. They probably don't get me, so it's an equal trade off. It's cool. But but yeah, just having multiple tricks out the bag to pull out to just say, hey, this is why I'm getting up this morning. Like sometimes you need to have a why. Sometimes you just need to do it because it needs to get done. Whatever that thing is for you, have multiple ones because at some point that one well will run a little bit dry and it's a little bit harder that morning to get up and work out. It's a little bit harder to go to bed early. It's a little bit harder to do whatever. So have multiple tricks to pull out your bag because when that plan does go left, when you evaluate things, that's part of that process too. Just like throw that in there. So I think it was a well-rounded, comprehensive goal setting plan talked episode.
I agree.
Well, you got her cosign, so that's all you guys need to know. She will also cosign on you guys enjoying this video by liking it and sharing it and subscribing because you don't want to miss out on more game like this because like it was pretty dope. I don't think you're gonna get this well rounded of a conversation from J. Cole lyrics to like smarter goals to an actual strategy of how to like become a better hooper and set your goals and like come on bro, like where you can get all this in one spot. If you find it, they probably copied it from me, so just go ahead and subscribe to me first because we're the OG. So you know, that's all you gotta do. Just subscribe, follow along with this journey of this goal of mine. This is you're seeing the results of my goal. Boom. That was pretty cool. I feel cool saying it. I feel special. Like I did something. But nah, this is cool, man. I do enjoy doing this. But if you enjoy listening, go ahead and go on YouTube and subscribe. Show some love there. If you're on Spotify, same thing. Apple, same thing. 5 stars. 4 and below aren't allowed. You know, I don't know why. Just don't ask me. Just follow along and do it. Follow her on social media at AB Mentality. That's pretty much everywhere. And if you find it personal, just go back to the private. I mean, not private, the business, because we don't do that.
It's private. You're not getting it anyways. But I would say also go to AB Mentality on Etsy. There's actually a goal setting workbook on there. So if you want to get better at achieving your goals, get more into the detail, that's there as well.
And that link will be below, guys. You can follow me on social media. I almost forgot that. You don't have to. As you see, I don't care. Not a high priority for me. I'll do this for you. I'd much rather you subscribe to the podcast than follow me on social media. Let's just say that. So, dang, that's bad for training business. Subscribe to my other YouTube then. Let's go there. I don't care about social media. Just like do other stuff for me. Yeah. Subscribe to the YouTubes. I have 2 of them. Show love there. Follow her on social media. And Hoop Gems every Friday. I remembered it. Hoop Gems every Friday. Just giving you a little mental how-tos, little motivations. Imagine like this episode broken down like 5 minutes. Like just a quick 5 minutes of like how to get your goals done and achieve them. That sounds cool, right? Get that every Friday. And she's jumping in on this stuff too. So I know you get tired of hearing me and my analogies and stories. So like I brought actual pro in to like take it up to another level. So you're welcome. Don't miss out on her. Yeah, I think that's it. Is that it, Ashley?
I think that's it.
So that's it.
Happy New Year.
We out of here then. Happy New Year. I'm tripping, guys. It's the first. Happy New Year. Enjoy yourselves. It's a great year for this podcast. Got a lot of things coming. A lot of things coming for her business, my business, your business, our business, everybody's business. So just don't be nosy and be in everybody's business. That's a bar. J. Cole can have that one too. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. See you next week.